Key quests are required to make progress in Monster Hunter games, and most players will do other quests to grind beforehand. But what if key quests were the only quests you could do? Would the game even be possible to beat? Let's find out. The main goal is to beat 4 Ultimates Caravan and Hub in this challenge, so after much consideration, I added another rule to make this more difficult. I can only do key quests once. This further limits the amount of materials I can get. Because of this, my strategy was to gather materials first, then do the objective, which is exactly what I did for the first few key quests. When I got enough materials, I was able to upgrade my charge blade to have green sharpness even before hunting my first large monster. After doing more gathering and wiping the floor with Celtis, I upgraded my weapon once more. In order to progress from here though, I am required to go to the Everwood, which is an expedition. And since it's a required thing, I'm counting all mandatory expeditions as key quests. With this in mind, I beat Velocidrome before gathering resources and did the same for Yonkutku. Well, until I fainted. See, both the leather and default armor sets have a grand total of 6 defense, resulting in taking a lot of damage even from weak monsters. And because I can only do key quests and only do them once, I can't make a full set and get active armor skills since they work differently here than in newer titles. So my only option for now is to craft whatever has better defense so I can take less damage. But to my surprise, I got at least 1 armor skill thanks to the Conchu arms and alloy coil. But just as I fix one problem, another shows up. Yeah, I have 11 Zenny. What? 300 Zenny fee? Are you kidding? Now, because of the challenge and the rules in place, there's only one option to make enough money to afford the key quest: selling materials. I normally wouldn't do this in case I needed parts for later, but I had no other options. Well, I'm never going to make Velocidrome equipment, so... After making enough money, I hunted Quechuacha and beat it, but not before taking a bunch of damage despite having better defense. I made more armor and then began the next key quest to gather more materials before taking on the Tetsukabra. Now, I would just go ham on this monster, but given my limitations and lack of good gear, I had to try and break every part I could to get the most out of the rewards. This meant slowing down a bit since I didn't want to beat it before breaking every part. As a result of doing this, I got a bit more rewards, but it wasn't enough to make any part of the armor. After getting free stuff from the Veggie Elder and doing more gathering, I began hunting Gypsaros. Now, you might think this monster is easy if not annoying, and you'd be right, except that this monster can steal your items. And since I gathered resources before the fight, I wouldn't get them back if this thing stole them. Thankfully though, I beat this dumb turkey without getting my stuff stolen. Once I got back, I began using the farm, but there was a problem. Because of the challenge rules, I couldn't cycle quests to get resources fast. Not to mention, points aren't easily available without expeditions, so I found myself running low on them just to invest in the farm. The next key quest is to capture a Gendrum, which meant I had to switch to a weaker weapon due to how frail it is. I got it low enough to capture, but this is where I made a mistake. I was gathering and fishing a bit before proceeding, but when I went to the next area, this happened. No, 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 no. So I had to abandon, which meant all that gathering was wasted. This also brings up another rule. I may have completed the subquest during the fight, but I'm not allowed to back out using subquests because that kills the point of this challenge. I fought Gendrum again, and this time I captured it successfully. I go for the Nursilla key quest to get the claws needed for the charge blade upgrade. If I didn't get them, the upgrade wouldn't happen, and I'm not allowed to revert my save after completing the quest just to re-roll the rewards. I had to break the claws to increase the chances, but with how hard the claws were, it's been tricky. I eventually broke them and captured it soon after, but when I check the rewards, I see this. 1 claw. Are you kidding me? Oh, second. I didn't get 3. Well, this meant the charge blade wouldn't be upgradable for a while. Or so I thought, but more on that later. I noticed the Baroth armor, which would be perfect for the charge blade at this point, but because of the nature of this challenge, it wasn't likely that I'd get the full set. After repelling Gormagala, I completely forgot about my Palicos, so I recruited them to help me out. The fight with Kongalala was more annoying than I would have liked, and when it was weak, I tried trapping it upon knocking it down when... No. No! Yep, Had to slay it. But once I did, I was able to craft the Baroth mail since I gathered killer beetles during the Kongalala fight. I crafted some armor, then went around mining in the frozen seaway before hunting Zamtrios, which honestly didn't take much to beat, if you discount the fact that it ran me over a bunch of times. After sweeping Najarala, I repelled Gormagala again and began the actual urgent quest. And let me tell you, this fight was harder than I was ready for. Gore hit so hard I lost over half my health, and because of my lack of good gear, it wouldn't be long before I met my demise. Twice. Oh! Again? On the last feint, I had to be careful because if I failed a quest, I would have to revert to where I last saved since I'm not allowed to keep or sell items I get from a failed quest. And of course, I didn't remember when I last saved, but thankfully I was able to capture Gore and move on. After taking a while to beat Gravios, I made the Baroth Falls and Ingot Vambraces, but still had no armor skills. Then I did a bit of melding just to see what I would get after the next key quest. Once I captured a frenzied monkey butt, I came back to check the melding and got this. I was just melding one thing. This was a pleasant surprise, but I would have to wait till later to use it. I thought I would struggle with Zinogre here, but to my surprise, he was a breeze. Rathalos was a bit more unforgiving though, but met the same fate. Then I crafted a Zinogre chest piece, which added to my defense, but again, no active skills. Now I would normally do the Celtis Queen key quest, but at this point, you're only required to do 2 out of the 3 to unlock Frenzied Tigrex, so I just skipped it. I took care of the Frenzied Tigrex no problem, and began the fight with Shigaru Magala. It took a bit longer than expected, but with Shigaru down, I got something in the berry pile that would help greatly. A Might Seed. Now on its own, the item doesn't do much other than boost your attack slightly, but it had something that would be a game changer for this run. But I put it in the farm for now to get more later. I go to the Gathering Hall, and it's at this point I realized something. Remember when I didn't have enough Nursilla claws to upgrade the Charge Blade? In the Gathering Hall, there's an urgent quest for a Nursilla, which would give me another chance to get the claws. I also needed light crystals, which I somehow didn't get from Gypsaros last time, but I do have a second chance with this capture quest. After breaking the head and then capturing the Gypsaros, the RNG gave me what I needed. I'm kidding, the rewards were really bad. What? That's it? So because of this, I had no chance of getting armor skills for a while, and didn't even get the light crystals needed for the Charge Blade upgrade. But after hunting Renopolos and then Tetsukabra, I at least made the Baroth Vambraces and almost had a full set. It's really too bad I couldn't get the rest of the armor due to that stupid turkey! I swept through Quechawacha and Celtis, then got the urgent quest with Nursilla. I had a hard time breaking the claws because I missed my attacks so much, but once I broke the claws and beat the Spooter, I finally got the claws needed, and all that's left are the light crystals. I began a key quest with Kezu and got 1 light crystal from mining. Then after capturing the worm, my main Palico got the second one, which was much appreciated. This allowed me to finally upgrade the Charge Blade to have better attack and green sharpness. After hunting a Rathian and then a Zamtrios, I must not have realized that I got a Wrath Wing Talon because I saw this. This has attack +5. Okay, I'm making this right away. Now, if you remember the Might Seed from earlier, I got more from the farm, and as a result, I was able to craft an attack deco, but only one since I could no longer get Jaggy Scales at this point. Despite having the gloves and deco though, it still wasn't enough to get an active skill. The next key quest was a Najarala, but this one was important because of one thing: Scatterfish. See, when I got the Artillery +5 charm, I knew that eventually I would need artillery decorations, and the required materials are Barrel Bomb Large Pluses, which need Scatterfish to craft. And the best place to get this fish is in the Primal Forest, which I won't have access to for a while after this quest. So I went fishing for a bit until I got all 10 Scatterfish, and then beat the giant snake. Our next urgent was Gormagala, and I thought about getting his Charge Blade because for 1, it has more raw, and 2, it has decent affinity. The only issue is that if I didn't break any of the parts, it wouldn't be craftable, so I had to break every single part to increase the reward chances. But if you thought the last Gore was bad, this one was even worse. Despite my decent defense, he was still hitting hard and made it difficult to break any parts, especially the feelers. But after 20 grueling minutes, I broke every part and captured it. I go to check to see if I can craft the Charge Blade, and... What? No! Despite how upset I was, I still had a decent charge blade, which by the way, needed upgrading since I had access to high rank for Carbonite ore and could now get Firestones in the Gravios key quest. I needed 5 Firestones, so I was really hoping I would get enough here. But sadly, I only got 2. And even after beating Gravios, my Palicos didn't get them either. While I could easily get enough Carbonite ore, I wouldn't get more Firestones until I reached the next Volcanic Hollow key quest in high rank. So, would I have to go through high rank with a low rank charge blade? Not exactly. There was indeed a solution to this, and it may surprise you. The solution was the Slick Axe. For those who don't know, combining this item with an ore duplicates that ore. And since the weapon required 3 more Firestones, all I would need are 3 Slick Axes to copy enough Firestones to upgrade my weapon. The way you get a Slick Axe, though, is a bit tricky. In 4 ultimates, there are only 2 ways to get them. 1, from eating Gastronome tunas, and 2, from trading Dundorma tunas with the Veggie Elder in either the Everwood or Volcanic Hollow. But since I can't access those maps until way later, the Gastronome tunas would have to do. But then something rather confusing happened. I was getting Gastronome tunas during the day because they spawn more on this map, and I wasn't getting any Slick Axes, so I tried looking it up on Koranico, and it basically said nothing, so when I looked up the Dundorma tuna, it gave me a bit more info, so I thought, maybe you don't get Slick Axes from Gastronomes in 4U? So I fished in Dundorma for a while and was getting nothing, so I looked it up again, and this fish is apparently really rare, so I had to wait. But then I lost patience, so I did even more research and found that it's just easier to get Slick Axes from Gastronome tunas. I was just having bad RNG. Man, that was a roller coaster of confusion. So after wasting my time with that confusion fest, I went back to the urgent quest and started fishing at Area 9. But I had to be careful with the time I spent because I still had to get Carbonite ore and beat Daimyo Hermitar. Thankfully, I got all 3 Slick Axes from eating Gastronomes, but it did take 18 minutes, so I had to quickly get the Carbonite needed and fight Hermitar. I was doing pretty well until I fainted from a water attack, but because it was low on health anyway, it was captured in no time. And thanks to the Slick Axes, I cloned enough Firestones to finally get the Blackguard. But now we had to get better armor. The only real option at the moment was the high rank alloy armor, as it's easy to make and doesn't require much. Right after deciding on the armor though, I get a Dundorma tuna not even from sitting there fishing for hours. I was fishing for coin purchase to sell so I could afford the power and armor charms, and once I buy them, I see another Dundorma tuna. Huh. I'm sure that was just a coincidence. After getting 2 Dundorma tunas back to back, I did some mining in the next key quest before hunting Emerald Congalala. Now because I was still in low rank armor, I was taking a lot of damage from the green monkey's attacks. So much so that I fainted from an attack I didn't see coming. After beating it though, I had enough materials to craft some of the alloy armor, but didn't have enough Zenny. To solve this problem, I could just simply fish up coin perches nearby to sell for money. But lo and behold, I get a 3rd Dundorma tuna. Anyway, I sell the coin perches and make enough armor except one piece which needs more Zenny. So I go back to the pond to get more coin perches and find, you guessed it, another Dundorma tuna. Okay, hold up. This is not a Dundorma tuna. I thought it was because I was just briefly looking over the footage, not exactly paying attention because this is a glutton tuna. I'm not colorblind, I promise. After selling more coin perches, I craft a bit more armor, but was still missing a piece due to the lack of Gossamite ore. So I went to the Gathering Hall and started a capture quest to get the ore needed before hunting the Rathalos. The first attempt didn't give any, so I had to abandon. The second time I got the Gossamite and proceeded to hunt the Rathalos. I was doing well and even got a Rathalos plate, but it was taking a while and I thought its health was low enough, so I tried capturing it. But my guess was incorrect, so I kept fighting it until it was actually ready. But this is where things went horribly wrong. Normally when I capture a Rathalos in the Heaven's Mount, I always succeed. But for some reason, a Nahabra woke up the Rathalos and its hitbox moved me enough to avoid the trap. Then he shifts the terrain, which destroys the trap. I didn't even know this could happen because I've never failed a capture quest in this spot before. So now knowing this, I didn't know what to do in the moment. But my Palicos knocked him out of the air, which gave me the opening to place the second trap and finally end this quest. But then this happened. My cats are legends, come on. No! No, 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 no. No! Again, the hitbox moved me enough for Rathalos to avoid the trap, which allowed him to shift the terrain again and destroy it. Which meant all the materials I got, including the Rathalos plate, were for nothing. After that, I only got one Gossamite ore in the next attempt, and struggled with Rathalos to the point of fainting in the worst way possible. Why? It was so frustrating that I abandoned and went for a different key quest to get the Gossamite. After getting what I needed, I fought Celta's Queen, which I thought would be a pain, but thankfully it wasn't. I got the alloy coil and made the hunter leggings for now. I was sure to get armor skills after making this, since it was almost a full set. But once again, no skills were active. But hey, at least I got more defense? I decided to use it anyway and went after Rathalos again. But for some reason, I was taking more damage than last time and fainted soon after. Turns out, my armor has a -4 fire weakness. But despite this, I kept going, and as a result of my perseverance, I got it low enough and captured it. Finally. I forgot to mention, I got an attack +4 charm, which allowed me to get attack up small with the low-rank Rathalos gloves, as well as the 1 attack deco from last time. I was hunting Tigrex next, which was fine for the most part, but despite my high-rank armor, I fainted twice. I barely beat it, and then swept through Zinogre to access the urgent quest with Darren Moran. This monster was a cakewalk as I beat it down with the Blackguard, which unlocked high rank in the Gathering Hall. After beating 2 elephant monkeys, I come across a Dundorma tuna once again. How is this happening? Now this next key quest was a big opportunity because it's a hunt-a-thon for Nursilla, which was good since the next Charge Blade upgrade required Sharp Claws. So after mining and fishing for a bit, I hunted 4 Nursillas in the quest. Breaking the claws on all of them took some time, but I was patient with the process. I got 1 Sharp Claw from carving the last Nursilla and then ended the quest. I checked the rewards and it appeared that I got a lot of Sharp Claws, but sadly, I only got 1. What? I hunted 4 Nursillas, and I only have 2 Sharp Claws? This was really bad, because that was the last Nursilla key quest, which meant the Blackguard could no longer be upgraded, especially since reverting my save after completing a quest is off limits. And with no way to duplicate the item, it seemed I would have to go through the rest of the game with the Blackguard in its current state. But then I thought of something. If Nursilla can spawn in the Primal Forest and Sunken Hollow, maybe there was a chance it could invade a quest. So I ate for Feline Game Changer, then began a key quest in the Primal Forest to engage the Purple Turkey while waiting for the invader to show up. Oh! Okay, well, not what I was expecting. I should have seen this coming since Deviljho is known for this kind of thing. Curious, I looked up each key quest that has invader monsters, but unfortunately, each and every quest I checked did not have Nursilla listed as an invader. Well, it looked like there was no hope for upgrading my Charge Blade, but little did I know there was hope for me yet. I just had to keep going to find out. I blazed through the Cephadrome quest and unlocked the Monoblos Urgent. Before I did anything though, I looked up what skills the armor had and saw that 2 parts of it come with +6 attack. If I got enough materials, I could craft at least 1 of them. As I was getting ready to start the quest though, I get not 1, but 2 Dundorma tunas in the same pond. So many people are gonna think I'm cheating. I began hunting Monoblos and worked on breaking every part I could. I broke the horn and the back fairly easily and had good momentum until he hit hard and finished me off when I dodged forward on accident when I was trying to dodge to the side. But once I severed the tail and captured it, I went to see the armor and I couldn't craft any of it. Well, except the greaves. Thankfully, they come with attack +6 and only require 3 rare scarabs, which aren't hard to come by. Before I start the next key quest, I bring the Dundorma tunas so I could trade with the Veggie Elder since the next quest was in the Volcanic Hollow. And since I had 8 tunas, I was expecting to trade all of them for slick axes. I trade with him a couple times, but then... Wait, what? There's a limit? Yep, apparently trading has a limit just the same as simply talking to him, so I would have to eat for feline charisma the next time. After burning alive delivering a rock, I got the rare scarabs in the frozen seaway and destroyed a winged worm. Upon my return, guess what I find? A Dundorma tuna yet again. I crafted the Monoblos Greaves and now had attack up medium, which was a much needed upgrade. I went on a mining session before hunting Pink Rathian, but this fight was awful. I was caught off guard with how hard she was hitting and had no openings to heal when I was poisoned at low health. And that fire hitbox. I barely touch it and it's like I take the attack head on. It's safe to say I got destroyed. Pink Rathian is and always will be a diva. I decided to hunt Purple Gypsaros in the hub instead. Yeah, that one didn't pan out either. I was constantly overwhelmed by his attack speed, and the bad timing from getting stunned was insult to injury. Now I had 2 walls to get through, a pink diva and an obnoxious turkey, both of which are toxic. So I took on a different key quest for now, and after completing it, I try again with Pink Rathian and lose my mind after fainting at low health, so I had to abandon. The next attempt started pretty bad with fainting after being stunned and poisoned, but I made a comeback and did better than the last attempts. I had a really close call and barely escaped death, but pretty soon the struggle was finally over. I crafted a better chestplate, and this time I felt confident that I could take Gypsyros again. And take him on I did, dealing plenty of damage and even breaking off the lantern. Things were going pretty well until a normal Gypsyros appeared. Since I didn't have dung bombs, this became straight up torture, and soon I was stunned and met my demise. When I came back, the other Gypsyros used flash a lot, which was just salt in the wound. Once I got purple to play dead, I laid down a trap so I could finally end this quest. But this is where I made the biggest mistake of my career. In my moment of weakness, I tried carving the thing to get at least 1 part, but it killed me in 1 shot, wasting the trap. I thought I would have enough time to carve the turkey, but I should have been more careful. What was I thinking? Thankfully, its health was low enough for me to finish the job. Unfortunately, I had to craft the purple Gypsyros faults for better defense, so it would have to do for now. After capturing a green monkey, I was met with an urgent quest that had Pink Rathian. Before I fight it though, I craft another helmet to gain extra defense. I figured this would be enough to tank hits from the pink diva, but I was so wrong. No, 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 please, 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 no! With that being the first fail, I couldn't keep any materials I got, so I had to reset to where I last saved. And because I didn't remember when I saved, it went back to right after beating Emerald Kongalala. What? This is where I last saved? Ugh. So I had to recraft the helmet and remembered to save this time. But Pink Rathian wiped the floor with me again. At this point, I was stuck. Pink Rathian beat me every time, and I doubted on whether I could beat Celtis Queen in the Caravan Key quest. With how deadly she is with her charging and drifting, I would be stuck between a rock and a hard place with the only 2 quests required to make progress. But when I actually fought the Queen, it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought. I was able to land plenty of strong hits and even destroyed her peasant. I captured the Queen with little issues so I could finally make some progress. I failed a scripted quest, which by the way, I didn't have to reset since it's a required thing. I proceeded to hunt Seregios in an urgent quest, and did so cautiously since my armor couldn't take hits well, but regardless, I broke every part and beat the pine cone. I got a decent amount of rewards, but couldn't do anything with them. That was until I realized something, but I'll explain in a bit. After obtaining yet another Dundorma tuna, I took 9 of them with me and 8 for feline charisma. This way I can max out the Veggie Elder trading, which after trading with him was 6 times, leaving me with 3 of the tunas left. Then I had a long and drawn out fight with Black Gravios, which was around 25 minutes before it went down. When I saw the next key quest, this is where I made the realization. Seregios is an invader in almost all caravan quests beyond this point. If I hunted every one of them and got enough parts, I could make some of the gear including the charge blade, which would solve the Blackguard's unupgradable problem. So I traded the last few tunas for slick axes, saw Seregios duke it out with Azurlos, and began hunting the pinecone first. But there were some big problems. 1, this wasn't a multi-hunt quest where monsters have lower health, and 2, this was a 50-minute quest, which meant if I didn't beat Seregios fast enough, I could run out of time fighting the target monster. Not to mention the chance of using up my healing items. So I had to put it into high gear if I wanted to beat Seregios for the parts and beat Azurlos to finish the quest. But knowing how the Blue Rathalos behaves, this would be a daunting task. So I fought Seregios, but while doing so, Azur Rathalos arrived, and again, I didn't have dung bombs, which made this a struggle. But sometime during the fight, I was inflicted with bleed at low health and fainted when getting up from diving. When I got back, I was overwhelmed and quickly overpowered again. At this point, I abandoned the quest so I could try again. But this is where I ran into another problem. I couldn't find Seregios anywhere. See, when doing this quest the first time, the cutscene with Azurlos and Seregios guarantees the spawn of the invader. But since I abandoned the quest, there was no cutscene, which meant Seregios would only appear 50% of the time. So it was time to eat for Feline Game Changer to make Seregios spawn, but there was yet another problem. On top of what I already had to deal with, Game Changer has a downside. While it does guarantee an invader to spawn, it takes anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes for an invader to show up, which makes completing the quest in time all the more difficult. But if this guy waited 20 minutes for nothing, maybe Game Changer isn't guaranteed. I went in and hunted Azurlos while I waited, and Seregios did appear after 5 minutes. Without wasting any time, I started hunting it and dealt damage as fast as I could, and pretty soon, it was captured. Then I fought Azur Rathalos right after, and did just as well since I brought flash bombs. After beating him, I saw the rewards and got more Seregios parts than I thought. I go to check what I can craft and see this. Ooh!
Yes!
I can make it!
What do you need to upgrade it?
I'm curious now. Scrapers and Molten Tigrex?
Yeah, no, that's not being upgraded.
That's not gonna happen, because he's not a key quest. While I can't ever upgrade it, this would be enough for the rest of high rank. I make the Rat Soul Mail for more defense, and decide to attempt Pink Rathian again. She was still quite deadly and came close to carding me a few times, but in the end, I finally quelled the diva. I made the helmet afterwards and beat Seregios in a Brute Tigrex key quest. At this point, I knew I needed better Vambraces because I still had the low rank ones. I crafted the Regios gloves, but put them away for now as I still needed the attack +5. Now, if you followed the channel for a while, you would know that Zinogre tends to be my kryptonite. His subspecies was no exception. Stygian was hitting so hard and even knocked me out of the area. But then Seregios appeared, so I went for him instead. But at some point, I was at low health and was finished off with a flinch followed by a stun, then a pop from the scale attack. The second time around, I did better and took it down. I then went back for Stygian Zinogre, only to faint almost instantly. I was at near full health and that attack still got me. When I finally got it low enough to capture, I put the trap down and waited. But then this happened. No! No! I was trying to dodge to the side, but I went towards the wall instead while the tail pushed me off the ledge. This is perhaps my most embarrassing moment as I was in VC with a friend. Thankfully, I had a spare trap and got Stygian this time. After getting Y-Stones, I went for the Frenzied Brachydios key quest, which also had a Seregios to hunt. Surprisingly, this one took way less time to beat, which was good since I needed more time to beat Brachy because while having Blast Blight, he almost one-shot me. Next thing I knew, I fainted from a slime explosion behind me while blocking for my life, leaving me with one faint. I didn't mention this before, but I did faint from Seregios earlier, so now I had to be extra careful. But no matter how careful I was, this Brachy was relentless, pummeling me over and over and nearly ending me, bringing my health to a sliver when getting blasted out of the zone. I was barely able to beat it, but at least I didn't fail. I made the Regios helmet and finally swapped my low-rank Rathalos gloves with the Regios ones. This left me with only attack up small, which I could deal with for now since I had much better defense. It was time to put the new gear to the test against a frenzied Devil Joe. This was the only key quest without a Seregios, which meant no extra parts. Despite the sheer power of the pickle though, I took hits fairly well thanks to my new defense and captured it with little issue. The next target was Apex Seregios, which was the final Seregios in high rank. The hunt was pretty much normal aside from taking half my health and damage, which I expected. Then I took on the final boss of the caravan, which honestly didn't have much to mention due to how scripted the whole sequence is. With that completed, all that was left was the hub portion of this challenge. After plowing through some key quests in the hub, I forgot that I had talents from Devil Joe, so I made the power and armor talents with them. Then I swept through more key quests without much trouble. Well, except for Black Gravios, as it gave me a run for my money the whole way through. But it took 5 minutes less to beat than the previous one. Now, if you remember the Might Seeds I got in the last video, there was an attack 3 jewel which I could definitely use to increase my attack. I made some regular ones with the seeds to then make the megas. But since I could only make one, the deco would have to wait. I was going for Azur Rathalos, but before I went on the quest, I saw the Wrath Soul helmet which had a level 3 slot, which was perfect for the attack 3 deco. But due to the required materials, it wasn't likely that I would get it. I started the Azurlos quest, which didn't have a great start, but I made sure to break every part to increase the reward chances. And after beating it, I actually got the parts needed, including the ruby. I crafted the helmet and attack 3 jewel, and got my attack from small to medium again, but was only 1 point from attack up large, which triggered me, but there wasn't much I could do about it. Then after beating the next key quest, I made the Black Gravios gloves and tassets, which made me happy to replace the Gypseros waist. I engaged Brachidios, which I figured would be a clean sweep with my new gear. But I was quickly overwhelmed, which caused me to mess up my attacks and pay for my mistake in underestimating it. In the next attempt, I had to be on my toes the whole time so as not to be overwhelmed again. Though I did faint 8 minutes into the fight, but after a while, my comeback was successful. I was not looking forward to hunting Stygian Zinogre again. And like last time, he hit just as hard to the point where Feline Moxie triggered and I had to get away. There were many close calls and even a couple feints, but I had to push through long enough to take Stygian down. This fight may have been hard, but it would be nothing compared to the key quests ahead. The Urgent with Shigaru Magala was more challenging than expected. Like with some of the other monsters, it hit hard, but one attack in particular surprised me with how much damage it did, which was way over half my health. There came a point when I had to use a Farcaster just to have breathing room to heal, but despite my efforts to survive, Shigaru took advantage. I had to be extra careful now since my max health wasn't high enough to take another huge attack. But with enough patience and concentration, Shigaru falls, and I had access to the 7-star key quests. I begin the siege with Darren Moran and beat it pretty easily. In fact, so easily that it died out of bounds. No! Oh, come on! Oh yeah, I drove him way back. I was pretty confident after beating the giant, but this is where the tables turn on me. One of the key quests was a Cantor, which didn't seem that bad at first due to how slow it is and how easy it is to get hits in. I had a pretty good start and even broke some parts, but then I fainted as I got rid of defense down. I made a bit of a comeback, but it didn't last very long because this happened. Do not fail, do not fail, do not fail. Oh, no, 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 no. You mean no. Why do I always do this? I underestimate a monster and then get my butt handed to me. It's common sense, come on! The next attempt was better, but I was pretty much one-shot. This is the second time I fainted at almost full health. I was down to my last feint and had a really close call when I got pinned. And this time I actually had dung bombs, so I freed myself and got out of there with a Farcaster. Once back, I barely survived more strong attacks and managed to beat the huge menace. I only had 2 quests left to beat, which would give access to the final boss of high rank. But this time I had a serious problem. If you remember from last time, I found it hard to use the farm to get resources because I couldn't make use of expeditions for points or recycle quests at all. Unfortunately, this came back to bite me because I barely had any honey and was left with 4 mega potions. And because of how hard monsters were hitting, I used a lot of them in this playthrough. The remaining quests were bound to be difficult and I had no way of getting any more mega potions at this point. If I got stuck on any one of these quests with no way to win, I would have to restart the run. So with Kushala being my next target, I needed a strategy to win because of the Black Wind Aura. While I would use a poison weapon, I didn't have access to one, so I thought of something else. Poison smoke bombs. I never knew you could use them on large monsters in World, so this would apply to older games, right? I gather honey for later and then try to use the poison bombs on Kushala. Unfortunately, they do not work. I used all 7 and not a single one triggered. So I tried to take it on the regular way, but took over half my health and damage and couldn't even touch him. Pretty soon, I was destroyed and it was time for a new strategy. I brought flash bombs this time, which did work, but they weren't a long-term solution. Plus, I wasted 3 of them due to bad timing. So I abandoned the quest to try another solution. Poison knives. These items are normally available during a Kushala hunt, so all I had to do was eat for Feline Supplier to guarantee the supplies at the start of the quest. But when I checked the box, tragedy occurred. What? No poison knives at camp? I don't know why there weren't any poison knives in the box, but this meant the strategy was thrown out the window. So I tried to take Kushala anyway, and of course, I failed. I was feeling really defeated since I never struggled with Kushala like this before, but I just couldn't beat it no matter what I did. I didn't have access to poison weapons, poison smoke bombs didn't work, and poison knives weren't in the quest. I would constantly get pushed around by the Black Wind. I was officially stuck with no way to beat Kushala. I had no choice but to restart the challenge. April Fools! Yes, I'm late to the party, but I wanted to do something funny, okay? I did have access to a poison weapon, the Kuropeko hammer. I was doubtful about it at first because of the attack and sharpness, but I didn't consider the high amount of poison attack it has, and that's why I crafted it. I couldn't upgrade it more than once, which left it as a low-rank weapon, but believe it or not, this is all I would need. And with that, allow me to introduce a strategy called toxic stalling. Yes, it's a Pokemon term, but like with Pokemon's version of this strategy, I can take a weapon with high poison, inflict the status on the monster, and allow the poison to do its thing for a while. Then when it wears off, rinse and repeat. At least, that was the plan. But it was my only option, and if I couldn't repel Kushala this way, I would be stuck and the run would truly be over. So I went in and poisoned Kushala with the new hammer. The fastest way to inflict poison was to do a spin attack because the chances increase with multiple hits. But I often had to use whetstones due to my poor sharpness. The fight required an intense amount of concentration as I didn't want to take too much damage. There were moments when I couldn't hit him due to the black wind, but I had to be patient and wait for it to wear off or try getting a mount. There was 10 minutes left and I could feel the nerves kick in. With the poison buildup getting increasingly difficult, there was little room for error. I was running low on healing items, so I had to grab the first aid meds to keep going. If I fainted before time ran out, the repel wouldn't count because I have to be present for it to trigger. As the nerves increased, doubts started to pop in my head. Would this be enough? What if it wasn't? I stalled a bit more until finally... Yes! Let's go! Oh my gosh! That was possibly the biggest wall yet. But it wasn't over as there were still a few targets left. When fighting Teostra, he hit very hard, but compared to Kushala, this was way more manageable. I did faint once, but despite that, I beat the Red Lion, which took around 30 minutes, but thankfully I didn't have to repel this one. It was now time for the final boss of high rank, Dalamador. But before the fight, I completely forgot about putting artillery in my armor set, since I did get the artillery plus 5 charm in part 1. So I made mega barrel bombs using scatterfish and crafted enough artillery decos to put in my armor. But before I did that, I got the Kaiser Mail, which I had enough Teostra parts to make because it has 2 slots and more defense. When I put the final set together, I had more than 1 armor skill, finally. But now I had a new problem. I ran out of Mega Potions during the Teostra fight, so I only had enough honey to make 3 more. With no way to get resources now, there was no going back. When it was time to fight Dalamador, I was confident since the monster sits there and lets you hit it half the time. But this was a big miscalculation. I did pretty good for the first 10 minutes of the fight, but then I got hit by a meteor followed by a poorly timed Superman dive, which resulted in a feint. At some point, I tried getting the tail when I got hit by another meteor followed by a huge strike attack. I tried to be careful on my last feint, but once again, I dived too early and met my demise. And as a result, I had to reset to my last save, which was right after beating Teostra. Once again, I underestimated a monster and paid for it. Will I ever learn? So I had to make the Kaiser Mail, artillery decos, and mega potions all over again. But I prepared a bit more items and saved this time. Now I knew not to take Dalamador so lightly anymore, and was now ready to take it on again. Knowing the pattern, I went for the tail first to deal early damage. Then I attacked along the length while it was moving. I broke the chest and went for the head while it was down. I went for the claws, but had to be careful with the glowing chest burning away my health. It goes for the super breath. I avoid it. I was getting ready to avoid his strike, but got hit anyway. But then Feline Moxie triggered and saved me from certain doom. I was struck by the right claw and was dangerously low on health, so I used the Farcaster. The fight was getting more and more intense the longer it went. With my healing items close to gone, the nerves increased. All I could do was keep attacking. Oh yes, let's go! With Dalamador defeated, the challenge was over. At least, that's what I wanted you to think. See, for whatever reason, you don't get access to G rank by defeating Dalamador, which is the final boss of high rank, but the actual monster you have to beat to unlock G rank is Uconlos. I don't know why this was a thing, but this meant I didn't beat high rank and now had to take on a Cantor's counterpart. And since I used all my mega potions and had no honey left, it seemed I would be stuck with the base potions. But there's something I haven't mentioned until now. I was gathering Kelby horns at the beginning of this challenge as well as dragon toadstools midway through. Because of this, I now had access to max potions as well as ancient potions. But I could only make 1 max potion due to having 1 mega nutrient as well as only 2 immunizers for ancient potions. But regardless of the amount, these would have to do since I had no more options. I accepted the urgent quest and went in knowing this would be the toughest battle yet. But I was ready. This fight wasn't going the way I was hoping for. I had almost no potions left and made a lot of mistakes. I tried preserving the last of what I had left and had to attack Hukanlos from behind to avoid getting hit. I went down 25 minutes in, but it was only once I had a chance to actually do this. I avoided the shark attack, but didn't see the second one coming, and my health was now dangerously low. Hukanlos went for another attack and my heart was pounding. I dodged it as best I could, but I fainted anyway, leaving me on my last cart. I used my max potion, which I should have done earlier, but there was no time to think about it. I just had to last long enough to see this through. Yes! Let's go! So at the start of G rank, I was out of important items like mega potions, and since the key quests ahead were fewer in number, I had to use the same strategy I did in low rank, gathering items before hunting the target. I did this before hunting Desert Celtis, and when I fought it, I was doing fine until I was hit pretty hard. But I was not ready for what happened next. Uh-oh, the Rejang's here. Oh no, no, no. Oh no, oh no, oh! I don't have dung bombs. I'm not here for you, you big monkey. No, no, no. After that, I abandoned out of frustration, not realizing the new rule I added. Oh, I just realized. I just used one of my abandons. Oh, I'm an idiot. So now I had 4 abandons left. As I went after Desert Celtis again, I would soon regret having the new rule. I can't abandon again. While I did make a comeback, I struggled, and the Rejang appeared again, and then this happened. Oh, no, no. Oh, no! Despite fainting again, I took down the insect without further issue. I go and check to see if the waste can be crafted, but I didn't have anything for it, which was unfortunate because I needed them. But there was a G-rank charge blade I saw, and it required Cephalus Hardfangs, which conveniently enough dropped from the double Cephadrome quest. So I went in the quest and forgot my cold drinks. So I abandoned, completely forgetting the new rule again. Okay, so I forgot about this part, and because of that, I didn't add it to the abandon counter, so let's just make it 6 abandons to make up for my mistake, okay? After gathering a bit, I take on the sand fish, but due to my frail armor, I was beat down pretty bad. I managed to capture 1, but the second fish was too much for me, and soon I failed. I would keep what the felines gathered, but if I failed a quest, I had to revert back to the previous save, which meant I got nothing. And to make things worse, I only saved right after beating Desert Celtis, so I had to sort through my items again. It was clear that I couldn't handle the 2 Cephadromes yet, so I went for Hermitar instead. But, here's how that went. Ooh. Oh, okay, I'm good. I just need to capture him now. Now, I just want to mention here that I paused the recording when going to capture Hermitar, but I forgot to unpause it, which meant you didn't get to see how this happened. Oh, I forgot to unpause! No, when I was putting the trap down! And once again, I reverted back to after beating the desert insect. I only did 1 key quest, and I was already stuck with not a lot of solutions. The only thing I could really do was upgrade my current armor for more defense, and even then I was still frail. I remembered to save this time and went back to hunt Daimyo again. But this was an even worse attempt as I got bodied. Due to the frustration of this bad attempt, I just let myself go down. After coming back from a short break, I was refreshed, but I didn't feel good about the only strategy I had, which I kid you not, was don't get hit. I didn't have anything else to fall back on, so I had to be really careful. So I tried again, and this time I fought the crab carefully. And then, got him! Finally! I look at the armor and still couldn't craft anything. Well, except the greaves, which I chose not to make because I invested a lot of armor spheres in my current ones. It was time for me to retry the double Cephadromes, but again, I failed. So much for the don't get hit strategy. At this point, I had to pull out all the stops with my items. This way I could at least have a chance of winning. So I went in, drank the dash juice, threw the sonic bomb, and got the first fish to limp. My plan was to capture both of them, but I didn't realize I had no shock traps, so I had to slay the first Cephadrome But after that, I had to fight the second one, and it was kinda kicking my butt. After barely surviving, I finally beat this quest and could now make progress. But now I had to see if I got enough heart fangs and rewards, because once a quest was completed, I was not allowed to reset my save to try again. If I was even one short, I would be stuck with my current weapon for a while. Let's see, did I get the amount needed? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes! That is everything I need. I now had a G-rank charge blade. The only armor I could make was the Cephalos arms, but I chose not to make them since they were kinda useless. So yes, I still had to deal with high rank armor for now. When it came to the Ash Ketchum fight, I essentially became a glass cannon, as even though I couldn't take hits well, I dealt a lot of damage. And I even pulled this off. Oh! And with that, Ash Ketchum was down. But once again, I couldn't craft any new gear. Now, Berserk Tetsukabra was the monster I was worried about. It could easily destroy me, and I had to beat it to access the rest of G1's key quests. So after gathering, I began hunting Berserk. Things were going well at first, until I was hit really hard, and then tried to block this attack. Oh! After that, I struggled for the rest of the fight and was soon overpowered. I had to get my best items and try again. I went down in the first couple minutes, but then made a big comeback and did really well. But then a frenzied Tetsukabra showed up, which I will admit, hunting that would have been the smart move, but I didn't want to risk failing the quest again. So I threw a dung bomb at it and finished off Berserk Tetsu. The only armor piece I could craft was the Greaves, which I decided to grab but would put on later. My next target was Plume Hermitar, but before I began the quest, I was looking up the armor and what it would need so I could plan the hunt accordingly. I also looked at the invader monsters and saw that normal Hermitar was one of them. So my plan was to eat for Game Changer and hunt the normal crab before Plume Daimyo. But for some reason, I go in the quest and notice that I forgot to eat as well as bring cold drinks. So I had to use my third abandon. In hindsight, I shouldn't have done that since there were cold drinks in the supply box. I ate for Game Changer this time and waited for Hermitar to spawn while I was gathering items. But unfortunately, the invader was a Cephadrome, so I went after Plume Daimyo and began fighting it. But as I was doing so, this happened. Oh no! No! Game Changer was supposed to give me regular Hermitar, not this stupid fish. Okay, no, he's leaving. Okay. Stop it. That was not pleasant to say the least. For the rest of the hunt, I had to stay on my toes because I was still pretty weak, and Plume Hermitar was relentless. I eventually fainted because of it, but in the end, I broke every part and beat the purple crab. But sadly, I didn't get that many parts, which left me with only 2 armor options, the helmet and the Greaves. Since I had Greaves already, I went for the helmet. And because I got Emperor Hoppers, I also got the normal Hermitar male. I finally had G-rank armor, but since I was prioritizing defense, I was back down to just 1 armor skill. With Tiger Stripe as the next key quest, I looked up what monsters can invade it, and to my surprise, I saw this. Oh wait! Plume Daimyo Hermitar can also appear in this quest. Oh, that's gonna be some big opportunity. This now meant I had another chance to get more of Plume Daimyo's armor. I ate for Game Changer and gathered while waiting. About 8 minutes in, it didn't show up, so I had to hunt Tiger Stripe in the meantime. After only a minute in the fight, a familiar nuisance showed up. Reijang! Okay, you know what? Screw it. Well, that stinks. I only had 2 abandons left, so I really had to be frugal with them. If Plume Hermitar didn't show up this time, that was it. I went in again and began fighting Tiger Stripe while waiting for the invader. But the fight was awful. I was getting bodied left and right. And of course, I failed before I even got to see what the invader was. In my next attempt, I kept struggling and failed right after Reijang appeared again. Unfortunately for me, this is where I made a harsh realization. After looking at the Hermitar Z armor, it's clear to me that I'm not gonna be able to craft most of it at all. That and that even if I do beat the frenzied Plume Hermitar, I'm still gonna struggle with Tiger Stripe. And I'm already 3 abandons down with 2 left, so I think what I'm gonna have to do is look at the final sets that I'll be making and prepare for that. So that's what I did. I looked at armor pieces and took note of all the parts they would need, so I would would prepare as much as possible. And this was it. A mix of Gravios and Tigrex gear that focused on attack, guard, and artillery. Not to mention, it would have much better defense than my current set. The only real issue was that some of the parts required mantles and large wyvern gems. Let's hope that doesn't become a problem later. I went in the quest and got some required materials being pure crystal. Then I took on Tiger Stripe, and again, I failed. I tried to get pure crystal again, but this time, I got nothing. I go for Tiger Stripe once more, and this time I did much better despite being on my toes the whole time. I beat it and got some good rewards, but I couldn't craft any new arms or waist. I still had the high rank versions, so if I didn't get anything to replace them, the lack of high defense would come back to bite me. I decide to try my hand at Tidal Najarala. I go around looking for pure crystal to mine, while also getting Zamite peels, which was needed for the future set. Unfortunately though, Tidal was too much for me to handle, so I would try Rathian and Red Kezu instead. But before I started, I grabbed the sap plants from the farm and make dung bombs since I really needed them for this quest. I did fine for the most part against Rathian, but as for Red Kezu, it was infuriating. I was taking too much damage and I failed because it got the jump on me when I was desperate to end it. I retry it, and this time I hunt Red Kezu first, which thankfully I beat easily, and did the same with Rathian. The only real thing I could craft was Red Kezu's Vambraces. I attempt the title quest again and get the pure crystals and meaty peels before fighting the blue serpent. The struggle was real, and I was once again a glass cannon, but soon I had the snake limping and I put the trap in front of it. But it somehow avoided the trap. Look at this. The trap should have stopped it. This now meant I had to finish it off at one feint. But as soon as I engaged it in the next area, this happened. Oh! Okay. I may have wasted a trap, but I was glad this hunt was over. I got slog bones in the rewards, which were needed for later, but as for the title armor, none of it could be crafted. But there was something else I could craft, the Rathian Greaves, which I crafted right away, but then immediately regretted doing so. See, this pair of leggings may have more defense than the Berserk ones, but without realizing it, crafting them wasted 3 out of the 5 slog bones I had, meaning I was now 1 short of the planned armor set. But now it was time for the urgent quest. Seregios. As I was preparing for it, I noticed something game-changing when looking up the invaders. Okay, so I was looking at the urgent quest for this. Because it's unstable, if I eat for Game Changer, go in, and there's a Tigrex, I'm hunting that first. So with the new strat in hand, I ate for Game Changer and took on Seregios while waiting. I kept up with the Pinecone just fine, but then I lost my momentum and fainted. When I got back to see what the invader was... What? No. Since the monster wasn't Tigrex, I used my 5th abandon, leaving me with 1 left. I go again, and Seregios was whooping me. It killed me twice before the invader arrived. Okay, if I can't find Tigrex, I have to abandon. I gotta use my it's a stupid bug. And so, I used my last abandon. But unfortunately, in the next attempt, I abandoned when I wasn't supposed to. I don't know why I forgot, but I was so frustrated with RNG screwing me over that I wasn't thinking straight. But rest assured, this doesn't happen again. I tried again and had a really hard time with Seregios, and to make it worse, Celtis showed up again. At this point, I just went after Celtis and beat it down in hopes of getting parts for its faults. But Seregios wasn't having any of it, as it eviscerated me and shattered me to my core. All I could do was look at the Celtis rewards before having to reset my save. Yes, I had another chance to spawn Tigrex, but that was just salt in the wound. So after taking a break, I came back and attempted the fight again. I fainted in the first 5 minutes and came back to a Rathian right before fainting again. Since I couldn't abandon anymore, I had no choice but to keep going. Thankfully, I got my momentum back and beat the Pinecone. I may not have gotten Tigrex, but I could finally move on. Of course, the rewards were garbage, and I couldn't make any of the armor. And now this meant the one and only hunt with Tigrex had to count, since it won't be available for future quests, even as an invader. The next thing to do was to upgrade my charge blade, and since I had access to Shrouded Nursilla, all I would have to do is break its claws, right? Well, if I hunted 4 Nursillas in a hunt-a-thon and got almost nothing, I wasn't so sure if hunting just 1 Shrouded would cut it. I also needed Meltspar ore, which thankfully was in the same quest, so I went in, gathered some Meltspar, and began hunting Shrouded. I had some trouble hitting the claws since I would either miss or hit something else first. I also had a lot of close calls, but eventually, I broke the claws and captured the spider. Now was the moment of truth. If I didn't get all 4 hard claws, my charge blade wouldn't be upgradable for the rest of the run. Please, give me the claws. Come on. Don't be like last time. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes! Yes, yes. I got them all. Yes! Finally, RNG didn't deny me for once. Yes. Oh. I can upgrade it. The only problem is I don't have enough money. Well, it's time to go on a large fishing session again. I was fishing for 20 minutes straight, and it was really boring, but I had to do it to afford the upgrade. I think that's a good enough amount of fish. I sell them all, and I only have just enough to afford the charge blade. That session of fishing wasn't worth it at all, so I had to resort to selling monster parts, but only ones I knew I wouldn't use. That's a much better amount. And with that, I now had a maxed out G-rank weapon with white sharpness and more defense. Things were starting to look up, but not so fast. There was still Tigrex to worry about. This double hunt quest was my only shot at getting Tigrex armor, so RNG had to be on my side here. So I went in, gathered Flutterflies for the future set, and then started the fight with Tigrex. But in no time flat, it bulldozed right through me, and I failed the quest even faster than all the previous hunts. I had to put off Tigrex for now, so I opted to hunt Gravios instead, since in my mind, it was the easier of the two. Plus, its armor is part of the final set I was aiming for. The quest was going well, since I could hit through most parts with white sharpness, but as soon as I hit blue, I struggled. I would bounce off the legs a lot, and I kept forgetting about the fire gas after the beam attack. And as a result, I fainted. Twice. But the last feint was something else. No. There wasn't much I could do there since I had little time to react. But I knew I could beat Gravios. I just had to be more careful and strategic. But despite my determination, I still kept making mistake after mistake and failed again. Before I tried again, I prepared bombs to use anytime Gravios did the gas attack. Once prepared, I went back in and fainted. I came back and used the bomb strategy, but then... No! No, come on, we're off. I was pretty frustrated, but I had to get it together. I broke almost everything except the head, but I had to break it as it gives the crown, which I needed 2 of. I finally break the head and then captured Gravios. But did I get what I needed? Oh no. Well, I got some parts, but nothing I needed at all. Well, it looked like RNG screwed me over on this one. I mean, yeah, I got the required Wyvern gem, but it just wasn't enough. Make the arms. Aside from the arms, I'm screwed. With the double hunt quest still being put off, the only other option was Zinogre. I'm not confident at all. You know, during that no sharpen run, my butt was literally handed to me by Zinogre. I don't see how I'm going to do any better with this, but I have to keep going. There he is. Oh my. Oh! 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 Oh my! Oh my gosh! Ooh! Ah, that was a waste. Ooh! Come on! Oh, tail's off! Oh yes! He's limping already! Oh yes! Woo! I was quite surprised with how well I did there, but even with that victory, I still couldn't craft any of Zinogre's gear. But now I couldn't put off the double hunt any longer. I was hoping to carry the same momentum from the Zinogre fight, but Tigrex proved to be a lot nastier here, which resulted in getting one shot 3 times. Guard 1 doesn't protect from... Ah! He hits way too hard. It was just as bad in the next attempt, but I eventually managed to capture it. But could the same be said for a Rathalos? Come on, come on, come on. Oh, you're kidding? No, no, no. Oh. Not having the mantle was the biggest salt in the wound yet. If I won this attempt, I could have had the Tassets finally. This really sucked. The only thing I could do at this point was upgrade my Gravios gloves, which thankfully I could max out, but that's still not enough defense. I was once again a glass cannon. I could deal good damage, but I couldn't take hits well at all, and the fact that I was still stuck with the high rank waist didn't help. So now I couldn't rely on defense anymore. I had to play differently if I wanted to beat this quest and possibly this challenge. I got my best items for the job and headed in. I got off to a terrible start because a Zerlo startled me, which caused me to faint. I am so glad they got rid of this animation in future games, but regardless, I had to really rely on openings for damage as well as mounts. Once I did that, dealing with Tigrex was much better, and I actually beat it. All that was left was a Zerlos, which I used the same strategy for, and it worked even better here. Soon I had him limping, and it was time to end it. Okay. Get wrecked, or get captured, whatever. I am done with this. Woo! As good as this victory was, I was really hoping it was enough for my efforts. Please, make up for the last time. What? 3 Rathalos rubies? I don't need that many! Getting 3 rubies like that in the reward box was absolutely insane. But as nice as they were, it's such a shame that the Tigrex Tassets is out of my reach. Yeah, Oh. Really? I can't craft anything! I have to fight that. This is not gonna be fun at all. How am I gonna do this? How? How am I gonna do this? With my options getting more and more limited, I had to try and get a new waist. Any waist. Just something better than what I currently had. I went for Diablos first, which was the only monster I was confident enough to beat. It was predictable, and I took advantage with Sonic Bombs, and before I knew it, Diablos was down. However, the rewards were terrible, and I couldn't craft anything. I went after Black Diablos since I had a good start with normal Diablos, but this one was a bit more difficult since she hit harder and had different moves. She goes down just the same, but this time in a way I didn't expect. The guard point got the win! This was the confidence boost I really needed. But once again, I couldn't craft anything. My next target was Desert Celtis Queen, but it wasn't her that I was after. It was her peasant. When I fought it at the beginning, I didn't get enough parts to craft the waist, but if I beat it again, I could actually replace the high rank Tassets. So I went in and began fighting the peasant. It was a bit hard to focus on it with the queen getting in the way, but I was doing well against it until this happened. Oh, he's dead! I forgot that she kills them. At first, I didn't think much of it, but this would become a pretty big problem. I continued trying to slay the following peasants, but each and every time, they met their demise before I could slay them. So I had to assume that each one that died still gave rewards, right? Let's see, what did I get? Queen sack, flood sack, pectus. Shoot. I honestly don't know if I got the regular Celtis parts. All right, show me. No. You gotta be kidding me. Oh man, I really needed this. So you can't get rewards from Desert Celtis if the queen destroys him. Ugh! Needless to say, I couldn't craft the queen's gear either. However, I still had a chance to get a new waist. My current Tassets were from Black Gravios, so I looked to see what the G-Rank version required. And to my surprise, it only needed 1 of each part, which made this a big opportunity. But there was one problem. Black Gravios itself. It has different moves and patterns that could wreck me if I wasn't careful. And to get the 1 crown, I would have to break the head, which is often hard to reach. I went in expecting to use the same strategy as with normal Gravios. But, this is how that went. Ooh, oh, no! Ooh, oh, what? Huh? Oh, oh, no, no. I tried again, but was more careful this time. However, it didn't quite go to plan as I was still one-shot by the uppercut beam. At this point, I was wishing I had guard up, but didn't have anything for it. Or did I? I went to check my box for all the charms I stocked up on from all the mining, and I saw that I had a guard up +4 charm with 2 slots. I equipped it and went to see if I could craft any shield jewels. I thankfully had enough parts to make 4 of them, which I did. And once I added them to my set, I noticed my high rank waist already had 2 points in guard up, which was just enough to get all 10 points for the skill. The task sets may have held me down in this challenge, but it was nice to see that they weren't completely useless. I also saw that I could get defense boost, but the only deco I could make was the defense jewel 2. So I crafted mega armor skins, got the deco, and added it to my set. And for the first time, I managed to get 4 armor skills in a challenge that severely limits you. Now that I had these skills, I upgraded my armor and attempted Black Gravios again. I was doing a lot better than last time, and guard up combined with guard +1 really helped me here. But then I made some costly mistakes which led to this happening. Oh my! Oh! Oh no 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 no! Stop! Oh! That was really bad, but I knew I could beat it, so I gave it another shot. Ah, that attack! No! Oh, head's broken now. Ooh, good thing that can block. He's limping, finally. Yes! I finally beat Black Gravios. Now I just had to get all the parts from rewards. I got the cortexes. What? I didn't get it? Lame. You cannot be serious right now. That was supposed to be easy to get. 60% chance from breaking the head. Once again, RNG screwed me over. With Brute Tigrex next, I doubted whether I could beat it, but I would at least use the same strategy like with Tigrex from before. Once I did that, I did way better than expected. The massive roars had me on my toes, but despite that, I managed to beat it. This fight could have been way worse, but I'm so glad it wasn't. But of course, I couldn't craft the waist, and to make it worse, I didn't have access to true armor spheres, which now meant the high rank waist was at its limit. I had only 1 key quest before the urgent, a double hunt with Brachydios and Stygian Zinogre. Unfortunately, there wasn't much I could do in the strategy department, and even with the strats I used before, Stygian and Brachy are on another level. So I make the attempt, and within minutes, I was obliterated. I stood no chance against Brachy, and I haven't even fought Stygian yet. This is where I wanted to use poison to my advantage, but I couldn't use the poison hammer I had due to it being a low rank weapon that I couldn't upgrade. In part 2 of this challenge, I couldn't use poison smoke bombs on Kushala at all, but there was a comment that said you can use them, but only on the head. I was skeptical about this, but I was desperate for strategies, so I decided to go with it. I bring the poison smoke bombs and go after Stygian first. I knew Stygian would be tough, but I had no idea how bad it would be. Oh my! Oh! Oh gosh, no! I'm dead. Come on! No! Come on, I'm at 1 feint. Don't do this to me. Oh! Wow. I didn't even get to use the poison bombs. I go again and got a mount this time. Once it was down, I tried the poison strat. Is it working? I don't think it's working. Maybe the comment was wrong? Anyway, I kept fighting and did somewhat okay, but I still failed. I was getting really frustrated, so I made buffing items and went after Brachy, but I was overwhelmed again. After that miserable attempt, I honestly thought about quitting. I just couldn't beat this quest no matter what I did, so I had to take the night off before I could decide what to do next. The next day, I chose not to quit and had an idea. I could eat for feline foodie to keep my max health after fainting. So after doing that, I felt pretty good about this attempt. I played carefully and used the Farcaster when things got dicey. I got the supply items and kept up with Bracky until it was limping. I captured it and was now confident I could beat the quest. But it seemed Sticky and had other ideas. I still took way too much damage and the Dracophage bugs weren't helping matters. I still dealt a lot of damage but was down to my last feint. However, I was still confident I would win. But then something terrible happened. I paused the game to go do something real quick, and when I came back... Huh? Did I do something to my controller? No, come on controller, don't do this to me. For some reason, my controller stopped working, and no matter what I did to try and fix it, it wouldn't respond. Why won't it work? No. Well, the only way I'm gonna get my controller working again is if I soft reset. Maybe even restart my computer. Just as I was doing well. So I had to close the game and restart my PC. When it booted back up, the controller was thankfully working again. I don't know what I did to stop my controller from working, but it was the worst possible time for it to happen. I had the quest in the bag, but one thing was clear. I had to redo that whole fight. So I went in the quest, buffed myself, and was now ready to take it head on. Oh! Got you! Got him! Oh! I did it! Let's go! This obstacle has been breached! Woo! This was the most brutal quest yet, but there was still the urgent and the final few key quests. I still couldn't craft anything new, but I did get some armor spheres, so I upgraded the armor and was able to max out the G-rank gear. But with only 661 defense on my belt, the rest of the fights would still be a challenge. And with the next fight being Chaotic Gore, I had to prepare accordingly. I planned on getting the Chaotic Fault, but knowing how RNG has treated me thus far, I had my doubts. I went in and had a very strong start. I was playing Charge Blade really well and had great momentum, but as expected, Chaotic was not messing around and dealt over half my health and damage with just one hit. In fact, when I tried getting breathing room, this happened. Oh! Oh! No. No, 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 no. Get out of my face. Oh, oh. But after making a big comeback, I had it limping in no time and down it went. After seeing that I didn't even unlock the Chaotic Waste, it was time to take on the Elder Trio. This was my last chance to get a better coil, and out of the 3 Elders, Kushala's Waste was the more feasible option. If I couldn't get this, I would be stuck with the high-rank task sets for the rest of the run. But seeing how the last Kushala fight went, I wasn't so sure I could beat it this time. In the last part, I barely beat it with the Toxic Stall strat, but now I couldn't even do that because the hammer I used is still a low-rank weapon, and even if I did use it, this Kushala has a lot more health this time, and the poison wouldn't keep up with the 35-minute timer. Earlier when I tested the poison smoke bombs, according to the comment, they didn't work at all, but the person only mentioned Kushala. Could this only be a Kushala thing? I brought my poison bombs to find out. When I fought it, I was doing okay at first, but then the black wind appeared which pushed me away. But then it went away upon taking fire damage. However, Kushala was hitting very hard, and I had to take precautions. The black aura appeared again, and this time it didn't push me away constantly? Huh. The tornadoes it shot were very close to carding me, which meant I had to retreat in order to heal. Later in the fight when I knocked it down, I put the comment's claim to the test again. Yeah, I don't think that worked. Well, now we know for sure poison smoke bombs don't work on large monsters here. But I will say, despite the close calls, the black wind didn't affect me all that much, which was strange. And in no time at all... Oh! What? No way I just did that! Without poison! It's gotta be a G-rank thing, I'm not sure. With that fight done, it was time to see if I had enough parts for the waste. Now here's the real question. Is it enough? Oh! Well, that was the only chance to replace my task sets, and of course, the desire sensor had to strip any hope of getting this. I chose to hunt Chameleos next, which honestly didn't have much to mention other than fainting twice and the quest taking too long. So when I finally took it down, I was relieved. The last of the Elder Trio was Teostra, which I was confident in beating, but I knew it wouldn't be that easy. At first things were going well, but then Teo fired back with devastating explosions. I did my best to stay alive, but I still failed anyway. To be honest, I wasn't sure if I could beat it after that, but at this point, I had to embrace my inner glass cannon and rely on openings for my damage. It wasn't easy, and I still took a lot of damage, but I overcame the obstacle and finished the job. I still couldn't craft anything new, but I was now 2 quests away from beating this challenge. The monster standing between me and the final boss was Ukanlos, and the last time I fought it, I made a ton of mistakes, which almost led to failure. But this time, I would not do that again. That didn't make the fight any less difficult though, but because I knew what I was up against, I managed to beat it much easier and much faster than the last one. I checked the smithy one last time to see if I can make the falls, and I wasn't surprised to see I was nowhere close. But now it was time for the final boss of G-Rank, the monster I had to defeat for this challenge to be over, Gogmazios. I was quite nervous for this since I didn't have the set I planned for, my defense wasn't that high, and I didn't have dense markles for the Demolisher, but my limited items and improvised armor set would have to do. Before I started, I took time to make as much of what I needed as possible. I made max potions, ancient potions, mega potions, and brought bombs. This was the final item loadout, and this was the final armor set. If I got stuck and couldn't beat Gogmazios, then the challenge would be lost. So I took a deep breath, accepted the quest, and began the final fight. Okay, here we go. Come on. Ooh. Oh! Restraint is ready to use. Good. Okay, I restrained him. Ooh. Ooh. Oh! Okay, no. Farcaster. Oh, I don't have one on me. Oh! Oh my gosh. No. Oh! Wait, is the Dragonator ready? Okay, it is. Yes! I need to fill the cannon. Ooh. Whew. Got him. Come on. Oh! Subquest complete. It's off. And now... Ooh. No! I missed. Ooh. Ooh. Oh! Tails off. Boom! I forgot about that. Come on. Oh! Oh no. He's entered the second phase. Oh my gosh. Okay. Come on, get the cannon loaded. Ooh! He's going crazy. Move faster! Cannon, come on! Come on, move! I don't trust it. Okay. Okay, I have the Dragonator right here. Eat Dragonator! Yes! This should reach, right? Okay. Come on, cannon. 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 On. Fire! 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 Oh, yes, I landed all of them. Oh, no, he's flying. No, I can't have him flying right now. Oh, wait. Ugh, yes! How long? Almost 40 minutes? Come on, Dragonator. I need you again. Oh! No, 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 no. No, no. No! Oh my gosh! How have I not finished it off already? Oh! No! Come on, dive! No! Ah! With time wasted on the cannon, missing the loose Dragonator, 10 minutes on the clock, and 1 feint left, I wasn't sure if I could beat Gogmazios. But despite my disadvantages, I had to try. Is the Dragonator ready at all? No, it's not. Come on! I didn't think it would be this close. He's flying. He's flying. Where's the dragon? Oh, there it is. Come on, please. Get it! Oh, come on. How is that not the final blow? I'll put these right here. Come on, come on. No. I'm just using max potion. I don't care at this point. I'm at my last feint anyway. Come on. Oh my gosh, my heart's pounding. Restraint. Come on. Just go down. Come on. No. How is that? How is this possible? 5 minutes. Come on. Go down. There's no way you're alive right now. I've got less than 5 minutes. How is he still standing? Just come on, lined up perfectly. No! I took too much time at the start. What was I thinking? I don't have time for restraints at this point. I also don't have time to sharpen. Come on. Come on. No. Come on. Just one little hit. It's just something. You're done. Oh, no. You're done. No. Come on. He's done now. He's done now. Come on. There's no way this is happening right now. Yes! Let's go! That is Garmosius! Dune! Oh my gosh! This is over! Oh my goodness, I'm lightheaded! I'm carving anyway, even though I'm not using any of this. Despite the frustrations, bad RNG, and the high rank piece of armor, I had beaten 4 Ultimate by doing only key quests and only once. If you want to see this video as a 3-part series, watch this playlist here. If you want something different, watch this video to see if I can beat Monster Hunter Rise without losing sharpness.